Well, hello there, dreamers. I got a special treat for you today. And the treat is 3 tips on how to make your dream snaps less likely to get robbed. And I did a video before when I did a whole 10 tips on how to improve your dream snap score. Forget all of that nonsense. All you need is these 3 tips. In my opinion, the most important things that you can do right now to elevate your dream snap game and potentially get higher moonstone reward every single week. So if you want to see what I have to say, please consider subscribing to this channel, because I've been doing dream snaps every single week since it came out. I had my ups, I had my downs. Most of the weeks I do get 4K. Sometimes I get less, but those weeks where I get less are actually the most valuable lessons that I learn from. So I can analyze it, see what I did wrong, what potentially could cause lower result, and then fix it in my future dream snaps. So I think I have pretty good understanding of dream snaps at this point, and I think there's only 3 tips that can improve your results right now. So if you're struggling to get above a certain point, like if you're stuck at 600, 900, 1200, I think after watching this video, you can go up at least by a couple tiers. But once again, nothing is a guarantee. The main factor in Dream Snap is complete luck and random, so it still remains the case. But I do believe it is possible to get yourself the best fighting chance that you can. Let's jump right into this video. Now, a lot of you are probably going to guess that one of my tips is going to be tag related. Well, I have a surprise for you. We are not going to talk about tags today at all. All I'm going to say is that there is plenty of evidence to suggest that having higher tags up to the point is beneficial for your dream snap. But there's also plenty of evidence to say that you can still get incredible results even if you don't max out your tags. So this one is still up in the air. It's not a sure thing. I would say if you want to be on the safe side, add a couple extra tags above the minimum requirement just to be safe. But we're not going to talk about it today because there is a few things that are actually, in my opinion, absolutely proven to give you better results. Let's start with tip number 1. And this one is going to be, unsurprisingly, lighting. Lighting and colors. Now let's take a look at an example. So let's say I want to do a dream snap wearing this dress. Well, I know it's a Touch of Magic dress. I know you cannot do a dream snap with it, but just roll with it. It doesn't matter what you're wearing. This tip is going to work with any outfit. So let's say I want to take a dream snap in front of the Minnie's house. So let's say I position myself like this. Now, if you have been watching my streams and videos, you probably can tell exactly what's wrong with this shot. Like, in terms of lighting, let's just take a shot, just so we have something to compare with. I'm gonna make like shot like this. We're gonna bam, snap it, pretty good. Gonna save it just so I can put them side by side. Now, what can I do to make the shot look better? Well, there's one simple thing I can do, is to make sure that the sun is hitting me in the face. Now, how about this? Look at the difference. Look at the difference. Just switching the angle. Now, let's put these 2 shots side by side. How much brighter and how much more vibrant and sparkly and alive the whole shot becomes if you have the sun hit you straight in the face. Like, look at the shadow. You can easily tell if the sun is hitting you in the face if the shadow is right behind your character when you focus the camera. It's not in front of it. It's not to the side. It's right behind you. Now, it's fine to have it like slightly to the side. Some shots might look good if the sun hitting you in the side of your face. For example, like this. It could give you a little bit more contrast. But you never want the sun to hit the whole scene. Not just your character, but the whole scene from behind, like we had in the first shot, because it automatically makes the colors look dull and much less vibrant. Now, you might be wondering, okay, but what if I'm not doing a day shot? What if I'm doing a sunset shot or the night shot? Am I screwed? Well, not necessarily. Now, this trick works pretty much only for bright day shots. If you want to go for a night shot, there's one tip for the lighting there that I have for you, and the tip is to always have lights in your shot if you're going for anything that is not the bright day. If you're going for sunset or sunrise or the night shot, always use outside lights. And by the way, moon is also a light source, so the same logic with the sun applies to the moon as well. If you have moon in the sky, you might want to have the moon hitting you in the face like this versus being behind you like this. You can see the difference in the colors tremendously. Now, sometimes you do want to have moon behind you if you want the moon to be in the shot. In that case, you just have to make a decision. Is it worth to sacrifice the colors of your shot but have the moon behind you? Maybe a filter could solve the issue. But in most cases, if you don't care about having a moon in your shot, you definitely want to make sure that it's hitting you in the face. Okay, now let's just say I made a small natural shot like this, which of course the game messed up once again. Let's say something like this, a nice, beautiful nature-wide shot. Now let's take a look at what's going to happen if we take a picture. Doesn't look too bad, right? Now, how can we improve this shot? Well, easy. If it's a night shot, it needs to have bright spots. This is the best opportunity if you want to use some lights and some glowing items to make this shot absolutely pop, and that's how you get your night shot to be eye-catching and increase the chance of somebody clicking on it to vote. Now, doesn't this just look so much more magical? Pretty much almost the same shot, but with a little bit of lighting in it. Just helps it stand out a little bit more, and your characters is going to be more visible if you have some glow behind it. It's just going to create better contrast. And now we can even play with it a little bit more. If it's a night shot, always try using certain filters can give your shot such a magical look. Like some of the best filters to use for night shots, just make sure it gives you just enough pop without overpowering the scene. Like in this case, like look how colorful this filter makes your shot look. You can always play with all the filters. Like this one makes everything looks a little bit too pink, but I feel like this shot in this particular case just creates such a wonderful scene. So let's snap it. Now let's take a look at these shots side by side. Which one do you think you would like, you would vote for if you see them side by side during voting? Let me know in the comments. Same goes for sunset shots. Look at this beautiful sunset. Your lights are still on, and the lights usually will complement the sunset. Having a sun behind you in your shot is going to make it very difficult for the character to be very visible. So using some kind of lights in your shot will definitely be super helpful in sunset shots. And sometimes you might even want to use a filter. Sometimes it's going to look great without a filter, but that's the beauty of it. A lot of people have negative connotations with filters, but it's all about how you use them and when you use them. Like, it can elevate your shot to the next level if used correctly. Here's an example from voting. Look at this beautiful night shot. Look at all the lights. All of the glowing items. They just pop so much in this shot. This is absolutely gorgeous. Look at this. Wow. Incredible. And here's a little example where you can see the sun is actually behind the character, which makes character not stand out as much as they can. Like, this is not a bad shot, but I feel like there is no benefit in the shot of having the sun behind you. So I feel like if you switch the sun position a little bit or switch the angle of the shot a little bit, you could make the colors in this scene pop so much more. Alright, we talked about the lighting. Now let's move to number 2. And number 2 is going to be shot composition. No matter how beautiful your composition is, if the lighting is not great, it's going to be very tough to see all the beauty that the composition has to offer. Now, when it comes to composition, there's a lot of important things that can come to mind. I'm going to address three that I think are the most important and also the most overlooked. At least I feel like they're overlooked when I do voting every week. Number one is empty space. What I see many times people do in Dreamsnaps, and once again, I'm not trying to diss anybody. I just trying to be helpful and point out something that can improve your Dreamsnaps. Like, the point of this video is to try to give some helpful tips on how to improve your Dreamsnaps. So if you find yourself doing these things, don't take it the wrong way. I'm not saying that this is wrong. I'm just saying that a couple small tweaks in the way you organize your Dreamsnaps can make a big difference in the rank and the rewards that you get. So I see a lot of shots like this. For example, you have all the items in the back of the shot, maybe a path going through the shot. This seems like pretty common photo that you see. So the shot is gonna look something like this. It looks good. You have all of your tag items on the back. You're standing in front of your shot. Everything seems great, but something is missing in this shot, right? Okay, so let's see how could we possibly make the shot look more interesting by maintaining all the items in the shot. Now, first of all, the thing that comes to mind, you do have a lot of empty space in front of it. You do have a lot of empty space in the sky. The point is not to try to make a mess, but try to make an organic shot where all of the items actually make sense and it gives the image depth. Like, not all of your items need to be placed on the same depth level. So let's try to make this a little bit more interesting. Also, there's a lot of filler items that everybody has you can use to make your shot feels more deep. For example, let's bring the house a little bit closer. Let's put some forest behind it. Some trees just to make it look a little bit more like there's some depth to the shot. So we have an actual background. We have an actual foreground. Literally doesn't have to be perfect. Most of the time, it's not... The detail on the background is not very important. It's more about having something on the back to give the shot a little bit more depth. We can add a couple trees, a couple bushes. Like, once again, the detail here is not important. We can always fix if positioning in the end looks strange in a specific spot. We can always fix it later. Okay, we have a little bit of a backdrop now. Now let's see what else we can do. We can have these sakura trees maybe standing right around the Minnie's house to give it a nice pink aura. These things can also... These could actually be used as a foreground. Columns are pretty good foreground. We can have one couch right here on the side. We can have another couch right here. We can have the topiary maybe even in the front of the house. Okay, let's play around with the shot. Let's see if I stand right here in front of it. Okay, now this looks interesting. Now maybe even make like a little path coming out of here. But we're not standing just on grass. Can put maybe a couple of these things. A couple flowers here and there. Just to basically cover any empty spots that might draw your attention. Let's take a look how shot looks now. Now we can see if anything is being hidden by some of the stuff. Like, we can move around. Like, I really like the way the right side looks. It looks pretty cool. I think the column might need to be moved a little bit. I think the fountain, we don't need to see that much of a fountain, so maybe I can move it a little bit forward. And it's gonna, like, we have these two items to be a foreground for the shot. Okay, much better, much better. And now maybe a couple changes on the left. In place a couple rock clusters here and there to give the road a little bit of texture. I think it looks pretty good. Ferns is a really cool looking item that can be added literally anywhere to just add a little bit of depth to the shot as well. And boom, we got ourselves a much fuller looking shot. Look at this. Compared to what we had before, with using pretty much the same key items, but we created so many layers to the shot. We have a foreground, we have a middle ground, we have a background, and the shot just looks so much more alive. with all these changes. Sometimes you might have to add a couple items, remove a couple items, but the core items are still here. It's just a lot of flowers, rocks, bushes, ferns, trees, just to create a nice, beautiful backdrop. But we can make the shot even better. And this is where the second tip of the composition comes in, and it's going to be a pose. Now, it's nice to stand like this, just like a regular character, but this game has something that allows you to change your pose tremendously, and this something is going to be critters. There is a lot, and I always recommend, I don't think there's been a single Dream Snap where not using a critter is worth it. Unless you're indoors. Indoors, even though you can glitch the critter in, but if you're outdoors, you have no excuse not to use a critter pose. Now, two things. Either the critter pose or the character pose. For example, if your shot works with something like this, if this pose works, like these poses are pretty boring, but this pose looks interesting. So if this pose works in your shot, I highly recommend using this pose. If not, I highly recommend using a critter pose. There are so many cool critter poses that can make your picture look so much more unique and more interesting than just your character standing in the regular pose. So I highly recommend to never take a shot like this. Just simply standing. Like, barely ever. This is the best option. Maybe 1 out of 1,000 times this is going to be the most fitting pose. But I feel like if this pose look good in your shot, there's so many other poses that can look good as well. I would go through different critters just to see if any other pose is gonna look better for your particular shot. Like, for example, I feel like with this shot, the rabbit pose is gonna look incredible. Let's take a look if I'm right or not. But this way, it's blocking it right from the face. So what if I turn a little bit? So what if I do my shot like this? We're gonna put the critter up, and then we rotate back. Okay, this is so good. Now, that is a shot. Now, I did make this whole set, basically breaking my first rule, because we have a sun shining right in our back, so the character does not look as bright, and the whole scene does not look as bright as it possibly could. So let's implement things that we learned from the first part of this video and make it a sunset shot instead. Now, I don't know about you, but I think this turned out like a pretty good shot. I would be pretty confident submitting something like this into Dreamsnap, and it took me, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes to make. Pretty good. And now let's see if we can apply a filter to it. I think this is a bit too much. This gives me weird colors on the sides. I feel like this filter works pretty well. We have a wonderful sunset, lots of lights to help the shots stand out. Now, you might be wondering, what is the third point in the composition rule? Well, I highly recommend bringing a character in every single shot that you do. I think character is going to be extremely valuable in order to emphasize how alive the shot is. It could be one character, could be two characters. You don't have to do anything complicated. You can just lock a character inside your scene somehow. Just put like a bunch of rocks around it and just let them wander, and then be ready to snap your shot. And as soon as the character does something that looks good in your shot, then just do a snap. Now, here's, for example, if I wanted Olaf in my shot. I don't know if Olaf is the perfect character for my shot. And for some reason, Olaf is having problems with hanging out. He just doesn't let me hang out with him. Let's find somebody who's going to look in the shot. Since it looks like a very sensual theme, I want to find some female character. Sorry, guys. I found Eric and I got distracted. I think this is the perfect shot. This is absolutely the vision that I had for this shot, and I feel like Eric in this shot just brings the whole thing so much more alive. It creates a nice character interaction. So yeah, definitely gonna save this. So we went from this to this, using pretty much the same set of base items. The only difference is a couple flowers, a couple trees, bushes, and like filler stuff, but the main items are the same. Also, one of the most important things, in my opinion, about creating depth is to not have, if you have items in the foreground, make sure they're partially visible. Meaning that, like, these fountains, you can see part of it, but then you can also, like, the fact that your brain doesn't see the rest of it kind of creates much deeper image in your head. So if you're gonna have a foreground layer, make sure that it's only partially visible, and parts of it go into the sides and the bottom of the screen, just like this. So you don't see the full fountain, you just see a piece of it, but your brain will imagine that your scene continues below the screen. This what creates this immersive feeling and gives you a dream snap a very natural look. Also, this is the trap I did for Eric. Basically, I just hang out with him, bring him here, made sure to put the stones everywhere where he can wander out of my shot, just to make sure he stays in here. And yeah, this is pretty much it. Alright, and now for the third and probably the most important tip on how to elevate your Dream Snap game is to always follow the theme. I have seen a lot of absolutely gorgeous submissions that got absolutely punished because they just did not fully fit the theme. Or, even if they did, they used some references that might not be very well known. And for everybody who doesn't know the reference, it might not seem like the image has anything to do with the theme. So I feel like it's very important to make your images, once again, if you want to get the highest possible chance to get as much moonstones as possible, I would highly suggest to make your images safe. And by safe, I mean kind of generic. Or if you are going to pursue a reference, make sure the image fits the theme. Even so, like, imagine if you don't know the reference and the image still has to make sense. It still has to fit the theme, even if somebody doesn't know the reference. Now, I personally love out-of-the-box submissions that look very unique, use very unique references, and just look like very creative and out-of-the-box. And sometimes they do get good results, but most of the time, from what I've seen, they just get absolutely obliterated and score very low. So, in my opinion, if you want to, if the moonstones is your main goal, then you want to go as generic as possible to make a pretty shot that resembles the theme. For example, for the freestyle, you could have done, like, this shot could have worked for freestyle. If it's Arendelle, make a beautiful Arendelle / Frozen picture. For example, like, what's the current theme? Oh yeah, the Lion King. You could go try to recreate some very specific scene from a Lion King, or you can just go to your Sunlit Plateau and make a nice outfit and just create like a jungle feel and look. Though that would be considered a safe submission. You want it to feel like Savannah. And I know a lot of people are going to want to try to recreate certain scene from Lion King, potentially, which might still look like Savannah. So even if without knowing what scene this is, the image still inspires the same kind of feel, it fits the scene, then it's fine. But if it requires you to completely veer away, like to lose the general feel of jungle, of Savannah, in order to create that scene, then it's probably not the best idea if you're trying to get as much moonstones as possible. Alright, so let's summarize. 3 the most important things when you're working on your Dream Snap if you want to get as much moonstones as possible. Make sure it fits the theme. Number 2, make sure the lighting and colors look as good as you possibly can. If you're doing a day shot, make sure you're not in the shadow. Make sure the sun is hitting you in the face. Make sure all the colors are popping. If it's a sunset shot or a night shot, make sure you have plenty of lights in your scene to make it look interesting and to make it pop through the bright lights, because you're not going to get good colors. It's literally impossible to get bright, shiny colors in a sunset or a night shot. So you have to try to make it stand out other ways, and the best way to do it, in my opinion, for a darker shot is by using glowing flowers, lights, anything that creates those bright spots on your screen to create that HDR effect. And also make sure to give depth to your image. Make sure to not have any empty spots. If you're looking at your shot and there's some spot that like glaringly empty and it's just drawing your attention to it, you might want to place a flower in there, or a rock, or a bush, or anything that you think fits that space. And yeah, I highly recommend using characters and definitely critter poses, but if you think the character fits your scene, I think it's not gonna hurt your submission and can only help it. Yeah, those are the top 3 tips, the most general tips. There's definitely a lot of more advanced techniques on how to elevate your shot, and I might actually make a video on it soon as well. But these are the main tips where you can make quick and easy shots. Like this, it took me about 10 minutes to make this whole shot, and maybe another 5 to 10 minutes to get Eric in the right place and do what you want him to do. So yeah, if you want to be done as fast as possible, definitely don't involve characters. You can get a shot done in 10, 15, 20 minutes without using any characters. The time will probably going to be double if you decide to use characters, if you want him to be in a specific spot and do a specific thing. So you decide how much time you're willing to spend on your shot. I hope this video was helpful. Let me know what is #1 tip for you when you work on your own dream snaps. What have you found to be getting you consistently good results? And what do you think is the most important thing when you're designing your dream snap? There's definitely a lot more nuance than these 3 tips, and there is definitely exceptions to all of these rules. These are just generic tips, so don't just blindly apply it when you're doing dream snap, but make sure to apply the ones that make sense. I've seen plenty of different shots get very good results. I just try to find things that I think are the most consistent in between the players who consistently score high results. Also, if you ask, should we do indoor-outdoor shot? Once again, I've seen people score extremely high on both indoor and outdoor shots. My personal recommendation, if you want an easy shot, go outdoors. Outdoors, you can hide a bunch of items behind your shot to boost your tags, so you don't have to worry about tags if it's a furniture challenge. You can create any kind of lighting condition. You can use some items that are only available outdoors that look super cool. Just recommendation, if you're not sure, I would just go outside. Anyway, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Subscribe for more content. We're so close to 30,000, where I'm actually going to finally play the game that I want to play for such a long time, and it's going to be awesome. Goodbye.